Hello, everybody. So this week is crumpets. Everybody in the family is very excited for this, especially my son. And he is very sad that he's at school today because he wanted to try these right away. So, as you know, if you've been watching me, that I don't do just one recipe usually. I try to just get one that I want to do and try, but then I find differences in them and I want to experiment. So one of them that we're doing today has baking soda and the other has baking powder. Some of the amounts are different in other ways too, but the main difference is baking soda versus baking powder. Now, crumpets, they need two ways of leavening because that's why you get those nice little holes that you can melt the butter into and put jam and everything. But that is why it has those little holes. It's two forms of leavening. So both of these have yeast, but they also have the other leavening, either the baking soda or baking powder. This one over here has to rest for 30 to 45 minutes before it's baked or cooked on the skillet. And this one is 15 to 30 minutes of resting time. So I'm going to make this one first, let it rest, and it's both have to go into a very warm space. So I turned the proving oven on, you can see the light, and I'll let them sit in there. I also wanted to just talk about crumpet rings. So these were bought for me by my husband as a surprise, and they have rounded ends on either side. So that's going to help heat up a little bit more surface area than maybe if you were using a cookie cutter or something like that, because those are sharp. So this is going to heat up on the pan, and then once you pour the batter into it, it's going to start cooking it right away so it doesn't spread out. So other thing is that I have a gas stove. So I'm going to be working with fire and flame, and that's going to help me to more easily adjust the temperature because apparently, and this is my first time making these, so apparently it's very important to get the heat right. You need it to cook long enough that it's going to cook all the way through and get the top solid and have those little bubbles in it, but you don't want to scorch the bottom. So I think there's going to be a lot of a learning curve with this. So let's just get started and try it out. Oh, and this is the pan I'm going to be using here. So I'm going to put these over here to go with this one. Okay. Oh, other thing, I am also going to be making the accoutrement to go with it. So right here is the start of strawberry jam. These are the strawberries. I'm making my pectin puree, and this is the clotted cream. It takes a good 2 days to make, so I did that ahead of time. But I will also tell you the links of the recipes that I use. I've had trouble with jam in the past. I don't know why. I just couldn't do it right. So I found this recipe, and again, I'm going to say it, Chef John. That's at foodwishes.com, and he's incredible. So both of these recipes are from him. I will put the links in as well because I want to support him as much as possible. Okay, here we go. So I have my flour, and it says without the yeast and salt touching directly. All right, so then what I'm going to do, if it's being that specific, I'm going to make a little well right there and put the yeast in that little well. Okay. All right. And there we go. And then all the other ingredients go in. So that's the flour, sugar, salt, yeast, and baking soda. Okay. Combine. So I'm just going to grab the whisk. It's not being specific on this, so I am combining. Okay, so 1 1/3 cups of warm water. So you are working with yeast in this, so you don't want it to be really hot because you'll kill the yeast. But you don't want it to be cold because then it won't activate the yeast as nicely, and it'll take much longer to get that foamy, bubbly look that we're going for here. So warm water. I can put my finger in it, but it feels nice and warm. Okay. So going to whisk as I pour this in. These also both have different techniques for cooking them, so I'm kind of excited to see what the difference is in that as well. Okay, so starting slow so I don't splash. And then they're really just wanting to get this really lump-free and I think a lot of air in it. So I'm going to switch my grasp on this. So this is great for mixing. If I really want to go intense with my whisking, I'm going to swap my grasp and tilt it a little bit, and then I can really start going for it. So I think this is going to be a good medium speed. Okay. Show you here. I can get the light on it. There we go. So it's nice and smooth. You can see some of the air bubbles just a little bit from where I whisked it kind of quickly. And then we're going to put a tea towel on top of it and let it rest for 30 to 45 minutes. Okay. Tea towel. So I will put this up to 30 right now. And I'll know that that will be good for there. Okay. All right. So while that's going, let's do the other one. Place flour, water, and salt in a bowl. Okay. So this one is 3/4 cup of water plus 1 tablespoon. Flour, water, and salt. So let's see here. Oh, that's the salt. Okay. Because I have the little cups and I have salt and sugar, so I wanted to make sure I was doing the right one. Okay. Then whisk for 2 minutes. Again, I'm going to do this one by hand though. We're just trying to get a lot of air into this and make sure that there are no lumps. And I need 1 tablespoon of warm water. And put the yeast in. Dissolving the yeast. And then I'm adding this. Okay. The sugar and the baking powder in. And then whisking it again. And this one is going to go and sit. Instead of a tea towel, this one is doing cling wrap. So I'm going to do one of those shower caps that I use. And it'll rest for 15 to 30 minutes. All right, here's this one. All right, so I'll put this in and I will come back soon. Okay, so the first one is ready. Yeah, okay. Try and do this without tilting it too much because we don't want to pop those bubbles, but you can see it has some nice bubbles on the top. It's foamy, frothy, and it did expand just a little bit. And you can see where I just tipped it towards you, it's sticking. So it's nice consistency. So for this one, it says to put butter on the inside of the ring and then dip it in flour. So I'm just going to take this. And I do have my pan, heating. That's a little too hot. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this. And I'm just going to do 3 of them because that's what's going to fit in my pan. So I'm wiping the butter on the inside. That's the butter. And then I'm going to dip it in flour. So I have my flour here, and I'm just going to go this way with it and roll it in there. I don't want it on the outside particularly, but this is going to be the easiest way. Then I'm not going to waste a bunch of flour in the bowl. And then tap it off. And we have a nicely floured ring. So there's one. I'm going to do 2 more of these. So the set came with 6, so I'm going to use 3 for this type of batter, and then the other 3 for the other type of batter, just so I don't get any mixed results or anything like that. Okay. Okay. And that is toasty. And we do want these to start warming up, so I'm going to put this down after they finish. I don't want that butter to melt too much, but I do want them to be warm. So I'm going to put this on low and finish up my last ring here. So I know there are non-stick rings and stuff like that. So you, with that, you'll just put like a little bit of melted butter inside. These are metal, so I'm just putting the softened butter in it instead. All right. Here we go. I'm so excited for this one. Okay. All right, put these in, let them heat a little bit. Again, you want to get the metal warm since you don't want it to leak out the bottom. You want it to just start cooking right away. Let's see. Okay, so place them into a pan. About a 1/4 cup. I got my 1/4 cup right here of batter in each one. Let it cook 5 to 6 minutes until there's a good ring of dry batter and bubbles all burst around the edge of the crumpets. Turn the heat to low medium and cook for another 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, until all the bubbles have popped and they look dry all over. Then remove the rings and flip them for about 2 to 3 seconds, just enough to seal them, not to color them. And then remove and allow to cool. Clean the rings, re-grease, flour, start again. Okay. I don't know. I guess the next thing to do is just go for it. Yeah, these have absorbed a good amount of heat, so I'm going to do it. 1/4 cup. Here goes. And then I'm going to turn it back down. It has the sizzle test, so that's good. Okay, so these have been cooking and they look awesome. I'm going to lift up the pan for you to see. It's really, really cool. And you can see all the bubbles that have popped and then cooked. You can also see that they have pulled away from the rings a little bit. Let's see if I can. Ta-da! Right. I'm gonna let it do that. I'm curious to see the underside of it and see if they cooked too much. Oh, no, it looks pretty good. I'm going to flip this one. I'm going to let the other ones go a little bit longer, but I'm going to flip this. And oh wow, you can see a difference where I just did that little bit on the pan, flipping it over, versus where it didn't touch. It looks raw. That's really neat. So I'm going to give it slight little press around the edges here, just so that it seals it all in and gives it that finished look. I'm going to turn it off and I will take them out and we'll let them cool. All right, so now I have to clean off the rings and repeat the whole process. I'm gonna keep the camera here while I do the other version because that one is ready now as well. So this does not have any flour on the rings. So I'm just going to take some butter. Turn that way down. So this is the recipe that recommends the sizzle test. And this is the one with the baking powder in it. So I will butter the rings. This is just butter. Especially want to be careful around the seams of it, because if you don't get the butter there, then you're going to probably get some sticking and that might affect the whole thing, just because you'll be pulling at it trying to get it to come off of there. Letting these warm up a bit. And I'll show you the other batter that came out. There it is. So again, you have nice bubbles. I know it's easier probably to see it at this angle as well because I don't have to tip it. Okay, I'm gonna turn this down and get my quarter cup. Ooh, actually, you know what? I'm not going to use that quarter cup because I don't want to mix the batters. So let me get my third cup and I will do scant on this. There it goes. Ooh, sizzling, that's good. All right. And we do the same thing. We just wait and watch it go. It is looking dry on the edge, which is what you want. You can see like it's kind of drying out. Just like a pancake, basically, where you want the edges to dry and get those bubbles. And then with a pancake, you'd flip it. But here we're not going to be doing the flipping until it's cooked through. And they say to do the other side for 20 to 30 seconds for just a blush of color. They say you can also use a skewer or like a toothpick or something to help the bubbles pop, which I want to do that on one of them just to see what it's like. It sounds fun. So I'm just going to get a toothpick here. And you can be mesmerized by the bubbles. Okay. Maybe this one will help them pop. Well, I don't want to seal it. I just want to pop it. There we go. Okay, so maybe I have to just go further down. Or maybe I have to let them cook a little bit more. Let's see. This one I did a little thinner, so it's kind of working a little faster, I think. which might be good. Move it over because my heat sometimes is a little bit less over here because that's where the gap is in the flame. So it's going to kind of turn it so that it has even heating. Cool. Yeah, now it's set up more a bit. And when I pop it, it's staying open. That's so cool. I know it's not necessary to be doing it this much. I'm just having a lot of fun. Nice. Yeah, this one definitely needs a lot more help. Stuck pretty well. There we go. Check the underside. Ready? Flip it. Okay. Nice. So it's formed a crust, but it's not as golden brown as the other one. I'm going to flip these and give it that 20 to 30 seconds with just a blush of color. So, oh, and that softened up this side of it here. Because it was hard when I had it before. This is the first batch. This is the baking soda, and this is the baking powder. So these are the side that were down during the whole cooking process. So that's a nice difference. And then here's the tops. So look-wise, this one stayed flatter. This one, mounted up a little bit more, but I'm interested to see once I toast them, what happens. Taste test. All right, so this is the one with the baking soda, and this is the one with the baking powder. I have my clotted cream that I made and my jam. So these are, I toasted these. So these are the bottoms, and then these are the tops. So there are a lot of nice little bubbles. This one got more brown when it was in the toaster. So I'm interested to see if that makes any difference. Open these up. Oh, wow. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it. It's so pretty. Okay, so you can see like all the little holes there. And let's open up this one. This one's more dense inside. Okay, still has the holes, but they don't go all the way through as well. So there's that. And okay, I'm gonna taste test now. Let's try it without first, and then I'll put all my stuff on it. All right, this one. That's really good. It's a little more dense. I can taste the baking soda a little bit. Let's see. This one. Definitely this one. Wow. It's light, but it still has a little bit of chewy to it. Just a little bit. Yeah, okay. Now I want to put stuff on it. Okay. A little bit of my jam. Cheers. Sorry, I need a second. All of the flavors are so good together. I know it's traditional to put some honey on top of this. That would be really good. Some butter. Probably some Irish butter would be really good too. And some honey. Anything would go great on this. This one is good. It's just a different texture than I expect. And you do taste it a little bit, which baking soda is not the most pleasant taste. It's barely, but it's not. Yeah, I'm probably just going to put up this recipe because baking powder, you don't taste it. It gives it the really nice bubbles throughout and the holes. This batch turned out great. I have a lot of uh, height on these. They grew a lot. And this is the recipe that I'll be putting up. So yeah, so these are awesome. And I just wanted to show you, these are the pictures that you'll see on the site. So I wanted to show you. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another experiment. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.